Okay, the chipping area has definitely been defined now. Essentially what I'm doing is just taking, every time I cut my grass, which is usually about once a week, I'm cutting it down a little bit lower in this section. On the outside, I guess that's like at a level 4 on my tractor. And in the middle, where it's kind of dried out, it's a level 2. Essentially what I'm doing now is just taking it down lower and lower, and then I'm going to add some sand and dirt mixture to kind of fill in, and then later in the fall I'll plant down some grass that I think I want to have back here. But for now, just the native grass, cutting it down slowly but surely to kind of define what area I'm going to use for my chipping green. Hi, and welcome to Work in the Yard with Will. Okay, so I'm over here in my new putting green area. I got quotation marks up there right now because I'm basically still trying to work it out. I've identified the area that I want to work. It's going to be a oval shape, if you will, out here. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to take my lawnmower and cut it down, cut the circle down. My next steps are going to be obviously, well, I should say obviously, but the first thing I need to do is cut it down low and then try to get everything even out for a chipping green. I don't think I'm going to do a putting green here, but for sure a chipping green in this area. So for right now, I'm going to get the tractor out, cut it down low. The next steps from there is going to graduate to a more of a greens type mower, a real mower. But I haven't decided yet, how much I'm actually really willing to dedicate to that, because they can get kind of pricey. But for right now, let's go ahead and get the tractor out. We'll cut it around here, and then the next step after that is going to take some miso 4, which is a herbicide, and try to cut out or clean up some of this old grass I got out here, which is a lot of crabgrass. And then I'm going to try to plant maybe some bent grass or something like that that's a little bit more appropriate, that can take that shorter height of grass cutting. So let's get the tractor out, let's get going. Okay, so what we got here is we're going to be mixing a few items up. Got my water source here. What I have here is miso 4. I did a review of miso 4 briefly earlier in the year when I was putting down some items for what was that? Early in the year when I was using some Scott's products. I was talking about miso 4 and tenacity can be utilized on your yard, and it works pretty good. But I have a small container of it, and basically what I'm trying to do is I have a small sprayer, a small 1-gallon sprayer, and going to use this to kind of cover this oval shape for me. Good thing about tenacity, or I should say miso 4, or the active ingredient side of the herbicide, and I'll place it in the description, is basically you can spray this out and you can go almost immediately right behind it and start seeding. So that'll work out pretty good for me, because roughly my experience has been 7 to about 10 days before I start noticing some yellowing or some effect happening on the undesirable grass. And in this area, the undesirable grass is a crabgrass, but I do have a little tall fescue out here, which this is not going to harm it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Miso 4 using a syringe here that's already pre-marked. I'm going to have a surfactant, which is basically just a soap to allow the blades, allow the product, the herbicide, to get onto the blades. And I also have a little bit of dye. I have it in this bag right here because it's a little bit messy. It gets a little bit over the place. Add a little bit of dye to this, and that'll help me track my circle. So, all right, stay tuned as I do that. I always like shaking products up because it's probably been sitting for a little bit. I don't use it that often. Okay. This is hard to tell, but I do have this going to the number 1 on the side of the syringe. I'm going to add that in there. Also going to use a little bit of water now to kind of rinse off the syringe. It's not necessary, but just something I do to kind of help clean things up. Put this back inside of here and close it up. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of this surfactant. Like I said, it's just a way for the herbicide to stick. I'm going to add two capfuls. On the back of the container, it'll tell you exactly how much to add, but this has been helpful for me. Essentially says it's good for 25 gallons of liquid. For 1 gallon sprayers, mix 1 teaspoon. So I gave it a little bit more using that capful. Next thing I'll do is add this pattern indicator or dye. Like I said, I had to be careful with this because this stuff, once it gets on you, it stains. I'm out here in the yard, so I'm not too worried about that. And my hands, I can just wash my hands off. Get this thing opened up, which has also been sitting for a little while. Okay. I'm going to add a capful of that and a little bit more. Once again, that's just to help me ensure that I know where I'm going. All right, I got the blue hands. It's okay. A little soap and water knocks that right out. Go ahead and put that to the side. We're going to add our water. Up to 1 gallon. As you see that container rising up there, and add it, add it, add it. There we go. See all that blue dye just rushing off my hands. Put that to the side. Okay, let's see if we can get a little closer here. Not sure if the camera will pick this up or not, but as I went around, you should see a little bit of bluing in there. That bluing is from the dye. And it just sprays better. Here, you can probably get a good close up here. See that bluing? It just lets me know that I did in fact spray that undesirable grass. And earlier I actually had a rose garden here with water running down the hill, or I should say I had water coming out of here where this tubing is. And so further down the line, if I decide to go ahead and add a little bit of some sprinklers to this area, I can. All right, hopefully you can kind of see that circle now a little bit better. All right, once again, I still have to go out and get some dirt and sand to even out the area back this way. It does slope from left to right, the hill being on this side, and it slopes this way, but in the middle is relatively flat. And so I'm going to try to keep that same look there, keeping the left side a little high, maybe put a little bit of a crown in the middle so the water beads off left and right, and then of course down to the back. All right, thank you for watching Working the Yard with Will.